Let's talk about some techniques in OnShape sketch and also extrusion feature. I'd like to connect a CAD feature with the manufacturing process. There's actually extrusion manufacturing process. Here's a schematic diagram of the extrusion process. There's a billet that typically is a cylindrical shape like aluminum, heated up like 900 Fahrenheit, and is pushed. And there's a die with a hole in here, and the material will come through that hole and creating a long extruded product. So here's the shape of the die, and let's say the die hole shape looks like this, and it'll create this long part. Okay, so let's create this aluminum extruded part, and die hole shape will be like this. It's quite complex, so we'll create this as a sketch and extrude that area along this direction to create this long part. Okay, so in creating an extrusion, the location of the first sketch is very important. So which plane do you want to use for the first sketch? You have to decide that. That'll determine the final orientation of the part. So in this case, the extruded part has a complex shape on the section, and probably that will be a good candidate for the front plane because that will be the front view of your drawing. One of the rule is that you have to use the front plane that is a characteristic of the part. Sometimes that is the most complex shape, so we'll use the front face as our first sketch. So select the front plane and sketch, and you want to look at normal to the front plane. So I'll right click the mouse button and view normal to sketch plane, or just hit the N key and for normal on the keyboard. That's a keyboard shortcut. Of course I don't remember what the shape is, so I'm gonna import that picture image in here. So there's a command for that. I have already uploaded imported that JPEG image. So I'm going to draw in here, put it in here. Well, I forgot it. You have to first check whether the document is proper unit. So I go here, document menu, and click on it and check workspace unit. And currently in millimeters and degree kilogram, which is good. I think this is all in millimeters, so we're going to use that. Okay. So I'm going to move it a little bit closer so you can see. I'm going to zoom it up. So this is a quite complex sketch, but fortunately these are all symmetric about the center here. So what you can do is either you can draw a quarter of it and mirror them, or even simpler is you can draw a 1/8 of the whole sketch, right this area, and then mirror them or circular pattern them. So that's what you're gonna do. Right, so we're gonna draw like 1/8 of the whole profile. So first I'm gonna use the square construction line. So press the construction line, turn it on, and draw a rectangle. And usually I don't look at the exact size, I just focus on the shape. And I wanted to draw a square because the square shape, so I will select these two lines here and add equal constraint to them, so they will always kept to be square. Now I'm going to draw a diagonal line again with a construction line. So draw a diagonal line that will be for this area here. So I'm gonna start drawing a line. So draw a line, and I'm just focused on the shape, not the exact size. So roughly draw the shape like that, and it'll stop right here. Okay, and then I need to add dimensions. So I'm going to add a dimension. First of all, the overall width will be 20 millimeters. So I can start selecting that and select the center line, and this it's either you take it as a 10 millimeter, or if you move your cursor to the other side, it's going to be a symmetric dimension. The reason it shows a symmetric dimension is because one of the selection is a center line. So if one of the selection is center line, if move my cursor onto the other side of the center line, it'll show the symmetric dimension. This is the same in SolidWorks as well. SolidWorks uses the same method. So if you're familiar with SolidWorks, this is the same thing. So I type in 20, and everything will kind of scale down, like in here. Okay. Now add more dimensions. Okay, dimension. What else do I have? I have 11. That's between here and there. Of course, I have to use this asymmetric dimension as well. That's 11. Alright, and then small line here is 0.7 millimeters. So I'm going to use 0.7. And this one 0.7 as well. Alright, and this width is 1.4. So select this line, select that line, 1.4. And what else do we know? We have the thickness of this to be 1. So again, we'll use the symmetric dimension again because we have this center line here. But wait a minute, this shows an angle instead of a linear distance. That's because this line I drew was not parallel to this line. So first I have to make them parallel to each other. So I'll select those two lines together and add parallelism. So they are not parallel, so I'm going to draw again, add dimension. Okay, and what's left? I have these lines blue, so I need some more dimension for that, and I have 7.5 dimension. That's the width of this inner square. So I'm going to add a dimension here. That's from here to there, and again use the symmetric dimension, 7.5. That'll fix everything except this small lines. If you don't know what's going on here, if you're not sure why they're still under constraint, what you can do is you grab one of the blue entities and try to move, and see that goes up and down. So the location, vertical location of these lines are not specified. So where can I find that? If I make it closer to it, I have this dimension 6.5. That's the gap between here. So I need to add that dimension. So that will be between here and there again, and this will be, we'll just use the symmetric dimension, 6.5, and that'll complete the sketch. Everything is black. All the sketch entities fully constrained. This is screen is blinking because there is a front plane kind of highlighting, so I temporarily hide that front plane. Okay, so it won't blink. Alright, so now we need to mirror this about this diagonal line to make this quarter of the shape of the profile. We're going to use this mirror tool. Before doing that, I have to select all the sketch lines to mirror. You can individually select one, but you can also do the box selection. And you start from the left and to the right, and you select some of them. But notice that this vertical line was not selected. That is because this entity was not completely included in the box. There are two ways of doing the box selection. One is going from the top left and going down right, or you could do the reverse way. If I do the reverse way, let's see what happens. If I do the reverse way and do it like this, and everything that partially included in the box are all selected. Okay, but if I do the other way, or the other way, only the entities that are completely inside the rectangle are selected. So there are two different ways of selecting it. So depending on what you want to do, you have to use a proper way. So I want to make sure that this one is included as well. So I'm going to move a little bit higher, but I don't want to include the center line. So I will start from here, make sure everything is completely included, and release the button. So all the lines are selected, but there's this center line is selected, so I don't want them included. So what you need to do is just click it once more on it, and then make it deselected. Alright, so I'm gonna go and mirror, and then it asks me to select the mirror line, which should be this diagonal line. So as I select it, everything is mirrored about that line, and that's the quarter of the sketch. Alright, so that's done. Now you can keep doing mirroring this over and again, but this time I'm gonna use circular pattern to finish this whole profile. So the circular pattern is right here. This, if you expand that triangle, there are another command called circular pattern. So first one is linear pattern, second one is circular pattern. This we need to use the circular pattern, and we need to select all the sketch entities. Here 3 instances are created, but it is not quite clear what to do here, but there are a couple of things you can see. That there's like a center here. If you grab it, you can move the center of that pattern. You can change it. I'm going to snap it at the origin. And currently we have 3 instances, but if you look closely, there's like 3x. That's the number of instances. If you double click on it, you can change it. In this case, we need 4 of them. So type in 4. And then we just need to click on the left mouse button, as you can see from the mouse icon. Just left click on it, and you create that pattern. So everything is black now because the original seed of the pattern was fully constrained. So if you pattern them, everything will be black. So I recommend that before doing any pattern, you fully constrain the sketch or the seed sketch entity, everything make that black, and then use the pattern, and then you don't have to worry about adding more constraints and all that. And once after patterning it, the sketch get more complex, and at that time, if you still have some entities under constraint, it's going to be too much to adding all the geometric constraints and all that. So it's a good practice to first constrain everything before applying a pattern. Now see the area, some of the areas, internal areas are grayed. That means that those are the area that the material will be filled. Okay, so if I look at an isometric view, it'll look like that, and this area will be filled. Okay, I do notice that I didn't do a circle yet. We're gonna add that later. Okay, so once that is done, I can say OK, and the sketch is still visible. But kind of a little bit grayed out, so you can hide the sketch if you want to, but I'm gonna show it now for now. Okay. Alright, so you need to extrude this. So that extrude command, extrude feature is right here. Extrusion can do either add the material or subtract the material from the existing body. Since there's no body here, all we need to do is to create a solid body. Of course, you can create a surface body here. Right now, you can select some of the lines, either create some surface bodies, but we will want solids. And you can either create a new body or add a material to the existing body, or you can remove this extrusion from the existing body, or finding the intersection with the existing body. But since there's no body created yet, we have no option but creating a new body. Okay, so select the new, and then we will select the sketch. If you click on the sketch, it'll add the material, and this is the extrusion depth. So we have the blind option, and the extrusion depth is currently 25 millimeters. And right now the extrusion direction is to the positive direction of the sketching plane. You can flip it by selecting this arrowheads opposite direction, and it'll extrude the other way. So you have a choice here. Another thing is that if you drop this choices here, there's a symmetric option. That means it'll extrude both sides from the sketch, so the sketch will remain in the middle, and sketch will remain in the middle, and it'll extrude both sides. So the overall extrusion depth will be 25 millimeters. So it's going to be the same, exact same solid, same size, same volume, but only its location is such that the sketch will remain in the middle. This is a good practice if you want to create a symmetric part. I recommend using this symmetric option, so that if you add one more feature here and then the other side, it will be easily can be added by using mirror feature. So it'll make really easy downstream when you modify the part. Okay, but now I'm going to create a blind and say OK, and it'll create this feature. I'm going to temporarily hide the sketch. All other reference planes I'm going to hide. And if I look at an isometric view, okay, remember I forgot to add this hole in here. So I can go back to the sketch. I'm going to show the sketch again and edit, right click mouse button on it and edit. I can go back to that sketch and edit it later. So I press N key for normal, and I'm going to add a circle there. So add a circle, and its diameter is 5 millimeters. So click on the circle and automatically recognize it as a diameter. So press 5. So there's the 5, and as I exit from the sketch, and the solid will have a hole. Okay, so you can quickly modify the solid by editing the sketch. So you don't have to redo it again. Just go to the sketch, right click on it and edit and modify, and then extrusion will automatically get updated.